Here's how to flip some simple terracotta pots into the most adorable and useful fall decor pieces for your bathroom. Using a ruler, I'm marking a 1-inch space from the bottom of the pot. Then with a warm white called Raw Silk by Fusion, I'm painting a line around the marked area, then filling in the bottom areas of the pot. I'm now painting the top rim and a little of the inside of the pot in yellow. You can try painting freehand or use painter's tape to help create clean lines. After a couple of coats, the painter's tape is being removed. Adorned with fresh cut marigolds from the garden, this little pot is a cheerful fall accent that takes up very little space. Here's an iconic fall look that will glow up your bathroom. For this project, I'm using a pot and saucer. I'm painting the body of the pot in raw silk until I reach just slightly over the pot rim, which I will leave terracotta. Dumping out a jar of old buttons, I'm positioning a few for 2 eyes and a nose onto a hand-drawn face on paper. I'm now adding some hot glue to the rim of the pot, then attaching some cute black ribbon with white stitches. Reaching for an old mop head I landed from the thrift store, I'm cutting off strands, then hot gluing them onto the top of the pot, then trimming the length with scissors. I'm now checking that the saucer will lay flat. You can even glue it into place if desired. And I now have the cutest scarecrow-styled candle holder for my bathroom windowsill. Here's a decorative way to create some extra storage space for the bathroom. I'm painting a pot and saucer inside and out in raw silk. For accessories, I'm snapping a few grapevine tendrils from the garden, then cutting single leaves from a dollar store flower. After gluing a leaf into the center of the painted saucer, I'm hot gluing a wooden doorknob at the center, then gluing on a grapevine tendril for the final touch. Choosing a pot and saucer left in terracotta, I'm hot gluing the same accents to this saucer as well. The saucers have both become lids to these separate pots. And I now have a couple of the neatest pumpkin storage jars that can hide any bathroom essentials. 2 pots grouped together make such a great fall statement while performing double duty hiding the goods.
We're going to begin with 4 6-inch pots. Then what we're going to do is we're going to spray paint them. So we're going to place some cold glue all the way around the surface of this, and then we're going to take our second pot and stack it just like that. I also painted a version in this gloss green. Now we have some cold glue on top of the buttons, and now we can place them right to the pot. So that is going to simulate our eyes. Of course, this is cold glue, so you do want to make sure it cures for about 24 hours before placing this outdoors. Now we're going to place our second eye, just like so. So for the hair, I have some orange yarn, and I think this would be kind of colorful and whimsical and fun. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take our yarn and we're going to fold it over a bunch of times. So let's just see how long we want our hair to be. And I think that's a good length, about 14 inches or so. Then we can move our pot, and all we have to do is just continue to gather up our yarn, and then we can cut the ends once we're finished. So we're going to want to do this a bunch of times. Once you have your desired amount of hair, you're going to cut it off. And then we're going to cut a length of yarn, and we're going to tie this right in the middle. And that's going to keep all of our hair secured. Now what we can do is we can cut off all of the ends. So we're just going to go throughout and make sure they're all snipped so each hair is individual. Now we're going to feed that yarn through the middle of the head until the hair is just sitting on either end. Now that we have our body in place, all we're going to do is add some of that cold glue to the surface and then place the head right on top with this extra piece of yarn, with the glue in between this to keep the hair in place. We also painted little arms, and we're going to just secure those right to the side and place an arm on the other side. Now we're going to take this adorable dollar store hat and place it right on top to finish off our witch. And I think for $1, that was the perfect finishing touch, as now our witch is complete. And how cute did this turn out, you guys? What an inexpensive project. And here is how it turned out, you guys. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to place this in my home, but I wanted to quickly show you how it looks outside. I think this is absolutely awesome as yard decor. Very inexpensive, very easy to do, and the perfect decoration. So think for other seasons and holidays too. You can do a Santa, you can do a ghost, you can do so many different things.
Save a few of your flower pots this summer to make this adorable garden friend. To start this project, I want to paint the large saucer green. I also want to cover the 4 small clay pots in the same green paint. I'm making sure to cover all of the exposed areas with the paint. Now that the paint is dry, I want to add some spots. I'm going to use this small circular sponge dabber to do that. I've mixed up 2 shades of green paint that are different from the original one that I used. This is going to create the spots all over that I want. I've arranged the 4 pots so that they're touching each other. Now that all the pots have their glue, I can lay the large saucer right on top of them. I had these 2 scrap wood pieces, and I want to paint them in the same green that I painted the pots and the saucer. The last thing I need to do now is to glue the little wood pieces onto the saucer. I'm using the same contact cement to attach them. My new turtle friend is so adorable, and it's the perfect little riser to hold a plant.
At my local Walmart, I picked up a terracotta pot, some paint, and styrofoam balls, and we're going to turn this into some really cool yard decor. And the first thing we have to do is paint our pot. So I'm going to remove the lid and simply just pour the paint right on. Then we're going to take an inexpensive paintbrush and just start painting the pot. We're going to make sure to cover all of the sides. You can leave the inside natural, but we do want to make sure that we have an even coverage and sometimes multiple layers of paint so that we don't see the terracotta underneath. So I did 2 coats of that Kelly green as a base coat, and then we came back in with a lighter green, and that I just used the same Kelly green with a little bit of white, and we drew the belly, and then we also came back in with some polka dots. As you can see, they're not even, they're not precise, but I think it turned out very, very cute. So now it's time to paint a mouth. Now I have some black paint and then just a more detailed paintbrush. We're going to dip that in. No need to pour this out on a plate or anything. And we're going to paint the mouth. So now I did a second coat, and what we're going to do now is add the little caps on the mouth. So we're going to just take our paintbrush and do 2 little lines. Now we have some pink, and of course we've got to add the frog's tongue. So I'm just going to take our paintbrush, the same paintbrush, a finer detailed one, dip it in the paint, and as you can see, it's going to take multiple layers. Now I have some of these that I picked up from Walmart. These are just smaller styrofoam balls, and they come in all different sizes as well. So we're going to need 2 of them, and we're going to come back to the black paint, and we're going to create a black circle right in the middle. Just like that. Now that we have the eyeballs painted, I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue from my glue skillet and apply it to the bottom of the styrofoam ball. And then right on the top, which happens to be the bottom of the terracotta pot, I'm just going to place it right there. And we'll do the same thing to a second ball and place it right here. And for the final touch, we have a couple black pipe cleaners, and you can find all sorts of pipe cleaners and the cutters we're using today from nicksseasonaldecor.com. And we're just going to snip them about an inch or so long. Now I'm going to take our fake little eyelashes that we just made, and I'm going to place them right above the eyes. So I broke down 1 pipe cleaner, and that is going to be more than enough. We don't really need too many eyelashes. Just a few pieces will do. And here's how our terracotta frog turned out, and I absolutely love it. What an easy project, you guys. All we used was 1 terracotta pot, 2 styrofoam balls, 1 pipe cleaner, and a little bit of paint. Some of these ingredients you might already have on home.
I'm always looking for new ways to use clay pots. I'm going to start off painting 4 of the small clay pots black. Next, I want to paint the remaining 4 pots white. I want to start by gluing the 2 medium white pots together. I'm going to spread some E6000 on the rims, and then I'll hold them together for a minute until they start to bond. Now I want to attach those 2 white pots to the 4 small black pots. I want to keep the black pots close together, but leave enough room to slide the rims of the white pots in between 2 sets of 2 of the black pots. Next, I want to add the little white pot to the top of one of the medium-sized white pots. It's time to start adding some fur. I found this bath mat, and it's the perfect texture for my new little friend. I'm going to start with the biggest piece first, so I want to lay my bath mat over the white pots and start measuring and trimming off the excess. I want it to drape down both sides of the pots and be just long enough to cover the tops of the black pots. I want to measure and cut a piece to cover the front, and finally a little piece to cover the neck. With the body done, I want to make the face now. I'm going to use a very fine paintbrush and some black craft paint to paint on a little face on the remaining white clay pot. The nose and the mouth are going to go on the end of the pot, and the eyes can be painted on the sides of the clay pot. I'm going to attach the head to the neck with the E6000 as well. First, I'm going to put a few of the little bath mat scraps into the back of the pot, and this is just going to give it a little bit of shape. Now I can add a piece around the top of the head and have it to hang down both sides. Each ear gets glued onto the side of the head. The final thing my new little friend needs is a sweet little tail. I'm completely in love with how cute this little guy is, and I love that I found a new way to use some clay pots. I hope this has inspired you to grab some clay pots and turn them into cute friends as well. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Home Talk. I'll see you next time.